Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and if you've played MFF for even a week, you've probably heard at least a dozen players at all levels of the game telling you how important cards are and how important it is to start early and prioritize often farming cards, building cards, choosing cards from token events, the P card tokens, and really just amassing as many good cards as you can, and then ultimately trying to craft said cards and ultimately trying to get Pierce, this mysterious ability that makes the game super easy and makes even noob characters look like gods. So why is this so more important now than ever? Well, because they changed recently, and apologies for not making this video sooner, but they changed recently the way that you farm the primary item that you need to craft cards, which is the comic crafting cubes, the card crafting cubes. I call them lots of different things, but they're actually just pretty cool little icons over here that you used to farm from GBR. You used to farm them from GBR, but since the Dormammu update, they are gone from GBR, and they are now in Dimension Rifts. And I know what you're gonna say, and I know the reaction, and I've seen the reaction from a lot of players over the past like 2 weeks. Oh, the Dimension Rift change is horrible, and I hate having to farm card crafting cubes from Dimension Rifts, and we're actually getting less card crafting cubes. So I'm here today to dispel all of those rumors. You can actually farm way more card crafting cubes than ever, and I'm going to lay out a step-by-step plan that you can follow that I've used, or that I've sort of amassed with the help of some wonderful people. And it's going to basically overdrive, kickstart, whatever you want to call it. It's going to Nitros family your card crafting, whatever, your card crafting journey. Okay, so we already know that you can craft a bunch of random mythic cards from here, and you should be spending your mutant materials. We don't even have any good mutants anymore, so just pump all of your mutant materials into this to craft as many cards as possible. I'm not going to cover that in too much depth because you already know it. And once you've amassed all these cards, and once you've amassed premium cards that you want to then craft, now you're at the situation you're okay, I want to craft this card. Don't craft this card, by the way. Craft the better cards that we lay out in other videos. But you need these cubes. You see here, it's 400 cubes. In total, you're going to need 10,200 cubes to craft one card, which means when you're looking at my set of 5, this is over 50,000 cubes. It's 51,000 comic crafting cubes, actually. That's a lot. With the old system in GBR, you could farm exactly 500 cubes a day, maximum. So you do the math on how long that was going to take. It was going to take forever. But now with Dimension Rifts, it's a lot faster and it's a lot more cubes. You can farm, on average, 1,500 cubes a day. It's going to cost you more energy overall, but it's actually going to give you more cubes per energy spent. And I'm going to lay everything out for you so that you understand. But what I want you to take away from what I've said thus far is you should be farming Dimension Rifts every single day. You can do 3 per day, 1 of your own that you open and 2 that other people open, your friends, alliance mates, etc. You should be farming them, especially if you have not crafted your cards and you're not done crafting your cards. And believe me, 99% of players are not done crafting their cards. So I'm probably talking to you if you think I'm talking to you. But yeah, you want to be farming these every single day, and you want to be in the back of your mind working on it and remembering, okay, this is my Dimension Rift farming team, and slowly building that team up. It doesn't need to be your first priority. Your first priority should be, World Boss Ultimate teams, World Boss Legend teams, etc. But it should be maybe your 3rd or 4th priority, because cards are just so important. They're just so important. So with that intro out of the way, now let's look at some real footage of me farming while I explain the nitty-gritty. So here we go. This is me farming stage 6. This is the highest difficulty of a Dimension Rift with my level 80 tier 4 Iron Man with Valkyrie and Sif support. This is like the most whale build you can possibly have because I have 25% Pierce, over 100 attack, and I've got a CTP of Rage. So these runs are going super fast, not to mention I'm at like 5 times or 6 times speed. But what I want you to take away from this is that there is a very real reason to build up characters beyond level 70, especially level 80, if this is something that you want to do, because you can actually farm even more than I said. I said 1.5k cubes on average, but with this build here, not that I need the cubes, but I can farm closer to 3,000 cubes a day, almost double. So there is something to be said about efficiency and min-maxing if that's something you're into, and if you've been on the fence about pulling the trigger on level 80 Iron Man, for example, or giving him a CTP, etc. This is a pretty good case study for why you want to do that if you're someone who still needs to farm a lot of card crafting cubes. Now, this is obviously not something that the majority of players can do. I fully realize that, so don't worry. I have laid out four other teams, in varying degrees of costs, from very free to play to more expensive, that you can work towards in the meantime, right? This is your end game goal, and obviously we'll update this in the future as better characters come out. But just keep in mind that you can absolutely improve. You can absolutely min-max your card crafting farming. So this was tested by our wonderful mod Just Rainbow, but basically, like I said, just to reiterate, you want to play Dimension Rift stages 3 times a day for 30 minutes. Now that's 90 minutes of preferably autoplay. You could manually play this, but it's a big pain in the butt, so I'm not going to recommend it. But what I will recommend is, working on a team, like I said, so that you can just leave it on autoplay for 90 minutes a day. That's a lot of autoplay. I know it's 90 minutes a day for this. It's another 20 minutes a day for Dimensional, Rift, or Clash, or whatever it's called, the interdimensional thing, the co-op. And then it's another, hour and a half for the story mode fragment farming. I know, it's a lot of autoplay. Your phone's battery is going to hate me, but you don't have to do it forever, just until you have enough cubes to craft 5 cards. So remember that. Well, a little bit more than that, because you're going to need to re-roll those cards. But anyways, so you want to play 3 rifts a day. Your own rift, and then 2 other rifts. Now, the rarity of the rift doesn't matter, which is a really good thing to note. So it doesn't matter if the rift is normal or mythic. You're going to get the exact same number of cubes. It's been tested by, better people than me. The rift rarity will improve the other drops, like Celestial Essence and the artifacts, but that's not what we're focusing on right now. That's just sort of like gravy on the top. And so what you're aiming for with sort of an average build, right? Not a new player, but someone sort of in the middle, is you're aiming for about 500 cubes per run, which, like I said, then equals out to about 1,500 cubes per day. If you do that every single day, that's 45,000 comic crafting cubes. That's really good. Now, it costs, like I said, 51,000 cubes to craft 5 cards, which means it's just over a month. It's 34 days to be able to craft 5 whole cards. I can't tell you how insanely fast that is. With the old way of just farming GBR at 500 a day, it would take 102 days. That's over 3 months. So they've slashed the time that it takes by 80%. It's bonkers. Now, yes, it does take more energy in total, right? Overall, you will be spending more energy day by day. However, you're spending less energy per cube, per comic cube that you're farming. And if you don't believe me, then just believe the math of, again, people way smarter and way more attractive than me. So let's say you can't farm 1.5k cubes a day. You're like, Alex, I can't do 3 rifts a day. I can do 2 rifts a day. Or I can do 3 rifts, but I can't do them that fast, even with my average team. Okay, so you can still only farm 1,000 cubes a day. That's still only 51 days. That's still half the amount of days as the old way from Dormammu GBR, or from Galactus and Master Mold GBR before Dormammu. It's still it's still twice as fast and half as long. So yeah, 51 days should be your minimum that you're aiming for to get 5 cards crafted. Now, keep in mind, for what I'm showing you here and what I'm going to show you in a second with some free-to-play teams, that not all rifts are designed the same. This rift is designed quite interestingly, and I wish all rifts were like this, frankly, because it's a very small arena and the enemies are very tightly packed together. So as you can see, with AoE attacks, Iron Man can clear out multiple waves with a single attack. So these runs can be very fast, even with an average build and an average account. Some of the other rifts are a lot bigger arenas. There's a lot more movement. The enemies are much more sparsely placed. It's sort of like Dispatch. Some of the Dispatch missions are really straightforward, and other of them have winding twists and turns and L shapes and all this stuff. So this is probably the fastest rift in the game. There's 7 rifts, I believe, 1 for each day. It rotates. And then the slowest rift is going to be about half as fast. So it's going to be, instead of taking about 60 seconds on average, it's going to take about 90 seconds on average to clear. So just keep that in mind. Not all rifts are the same speed, so you will see some variance in how many cubes you can farm per day. Now, this was an unfortunate thing that happened to me. I'm frozen on this screen here, but basically, I got cut off on my last run. I really wish the devs would make this one small tweak to Dimension Rifts to allow the last run to count, even if the 30-minute timer has expired, because I was honestly, I checked the stopwatch, I was like 5 seconds over on the 30-minute timer. Like, I finished this last run at 30 minutes and 5 seconds. But as you can see there, I farmed almost 900 cubes. That's one rift, 30 minutes. And then multiply that by 3, which is bonkers. Okay, so you don't have level 80 Iron Man, tier 4 Iron Man. That's fine. I'm going to be showing you guys some runs using free-to-play teams, building up, ascending in cost from there. So this is the first team that I would recommend if you're a newer player and you want to, start doing Dimension Rifts, or you want to start working towards your first Dimension Rift team. For this setup, you do need Loki tier 3. The President Loki uniform, in my opinion, is a little bit better on autoplay, but TVA Loki is fine as well, so don't, worry if you have one or the other. Shuri needs to be tier 2, but does not need the uniform. And then Taskmaster needs the uniform, but does not need to be tier 2, and definitely does not need to be tier 3. So there's actually very little cost associated with this team, and as you can see, this team can do quite well. You're not going to go as fast as I am if you don't have Pierce, if you don't have 100% all attack, so the times will change, like your mileage will vary, but this is on difficulty 3, so you're not actually going to, you're not actually going to be spending the full 3 minutes running this stage. And as you can see here, you're going to get anywhere from, I believe, 24 to 34 cubes per run, which is excellent. The next team I want to highlight is one that is not very autoplay friendly, but basically you're going to use, and it's obviously a step up in cost, you're going to use Valkyrie support, and again, you could substitute her for Shuri or Taskmaster, but you're going to be using Green Goblin leads. You're going to have to buy an extra uniform and use his lead. Now, his leadership is going to provide Loki with a lot of buffs, increase damage, increase ignore dodge, and then if you have Green Goblin tier 2, which you should, it's very easy to get, he also provides you with a passive buff to villains. So Green Goblin is a big step up from either Shuri or Taskmaster, but the problem is that you can't auto run it, because if you auto run it, the auto play doesn't know to switch to Loki. It will just stay on Green Goblin, and then you will have to switch it every time. However, I did want to point out this team option for some players who I know have that sort of ability, right? They're working from home, or they're at a job where they can be on their phone sort of on the side, and so every couple of minutes they can check their phone and switch to Loki, and then go back to what they were doing. So yeah, this is the second team I would recommend, and again, 31 cubes, it's beautiful. The third team I would recommend, again in ascending cost, is the paywall, Christmas time, limited time uniform Black Cat with Valkyrie, and then of course Loki. Now this version has Loki in the lead. Black Cat still provides a lot of support buffs when she's not in the lead, so it works. You can make this team even faster by, again, putting Black Cat in the lead to give Loki the additional, 65% increased damage, and I believe ignore dodge. However, then you can't just run it auto for 30 minutes. You have to stay there and switch every single time from Black Cat to Loki. And believe me, you definitely want to switch from Black Cat to Loki, because Black Cat is way slower than Loki, and she's just not going to get the job done on the same level that he is, which is unfortunate, which is why the next team, then involves Thena, because ideally what you want to work towards is a team that you can auto-play completely, right? Unless you really have the time and patience to be checking it every minute or two to switch, you absolutely want to look at characters who have self-buffing leads to sort of carry that weight for you. And so that brings us to our fourth team, where we now take advantage of Thena's self-buffing lead with both Valkyrie and White Fox. Keep in mind there are variations of this team that are cheaper. For example, you can substitute out White Fox for Cersei with her new uniform. She provides not identical buffs to White Fox, but pretty comparable buffs to White Fox. You're probably not going to notice a big gap in the amount of time that it takes her to clear with Cersei versus White Fox, and it's of course going to save you. It's going to be free to play accessible because White Fox's uniform costs real money. So I think this is a fantastic team if you've already built up Thena. Let me just make that clear. If you haven't yet invested in Makaria and Gilgamesh, then you may just want to skip Thena for this specifically. You may not want to skip Thena for other reasons, but you may want to skip Thena for this specifically and just set your sights on Iron Man or possibly Thor, who should be the next tier 4, because their performance is just outstanding. Generally speaking, faster than Thena and cheaper overall, right? Iron Man does cost other resources, but only 1,000 crystals, whereas Thena, 8,000 or 9,000 crystals if you consider the uniform as well, even after the discounts. So yeah, but these teams will help you come up with a game plan depending on your roster. This is, of course, not a completely exhaustive list, but it's pretty close. I wouldn't deviate too much from it. Thank you so much to Just Rainbow for opening that rift. And hopefully these tips have helped you so that you can start farming Dimension Rifts and start farming way more card crafting cubes, because it really broke my heart when I saw people saying that we're getting less cubes now and this change from GBR is so much worse, because honestly, it's so much better. You have the option to manual play now, which you had to do with GBR before, but it's solo play, so you don't have to worry about disconnecting, or you don't have to worry about bad teammates. You can autoplay if you want for 30 minutes, and the best part is you can farm way more cubes, like triple the cubes. You can literally double the speed and halve the amount of time that it takes to farm up cubes to craft your cards. So honestly, if you put all of these methods into play with all of the research, then you will end up needing or being short on premium cards. That's really the last bottleneck. And hopefully I'll have a video in the future to cover that when Netmarble starts dropping tons of premium cards on us for free. But in the meantime, stack those mythic cards for crafting and re-rolling, and stack those comic crafting cubes. And remember, unless you're a huge whale, play stage 3. Stage 3 all day, baby. So yeah, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. Shout out to everybody who helped with this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.